Bonjour. J'ai perdu Thierry.
Bonjour à tous.
Hello.
Bonjour à tous et à toutes.
Hello,
Voilà.
everybody.
Merci de
Thank
votre
you
présence
for being here today.
et bienvenue à la conférence de
Welcome to the press
presse qui va vous
conference
dévoiler
that will unveil,
la sélection
disclose
officielle
the
de la
official selection
76e
of the
édition du
76th
Festival de Cannes.
edition of the Cannes Film Festival.
C'est toujours
It's
un moment
always
très
a
attendu
very
et je
expected
dois vous dire, pour moi,
moment.
c'est un
And
moment
for
de
me,
grande émotion
it's a
d'ouvrir
very moving
la
part
présentation
to
aujourd'hui.
start this presentation today.
Je ne peux commencer
I
cette séance
cannot
sans
start
saluer Pierre
without
Lescure, ce
commanding
grand
Pierre
monsieur de
Lescure,
cinéma qui a présidé
this
le
gentleman
festival
of the
avec
cinema
tant de
who
talent
presided over the cinema with so much talent,
et de
elegance,
passion.
and passion.
C'est avec la même
It's
passion
with the
que
same
Pierre
passion
m'a
that Pierre
passé le flambeau à la fin
gave
de la dernière
me
édition.
the
Merci
torch.
Pierre.
Thank you,
Je me
Pierre.
souviens encore
I remember
si bien de mon
very
premier
well of
séjour
my first
comme professionnel
stay
au
as a
Festival de Cannes.
professional at the Cannes Film
C'était en
Festival.
98.
It was in
Si on
1998.
l'avait dit alors que
If
j'en
I had
deviendrais
been told that I
présidente,
would be the chairperson,
pas
the
cru.
president, I wouldn't have believed it.
Aujourd'hui, j'en suis
Today,
très
I
fière,
am very proud of it
très honorée et
very
ça
honored.
me remplit de joie.
And fills me with joy.
Le Festival de Cannes
The Cannes
est
Film
un
Festival
véritable game
is
changer
a game
dans la vie d'un
changer
film.
in the life of a
Comme
film.
lors de ma carrière,
During
j'ai
my
pu
career,
accompagner
I
un
supported
grand nombre de films
a
au
tremendous
festival
amount of films to the
et à chaque
festival,
fois,
and each and every
j'ai pu
time
constater à
I
quel point
noticed how
il y a
far
un avant
there is
et un
a
après
before
Cannes.
and an after
Tous
Cannes.
les ans,
Every
la
year,
sélection et le palmarès
selection
ouvrent la voie
and
à
opening
des
the way,
très
paving
bels
the way
succès en
to
salle.
fantastic
On l'a vu encore
successes
une
in
fois
theaters. We've seen that
avec la
again
dernière
with the
édition.
last edition.
Des films de la sélection
Films of
comme
the selection,
Sans filtre,
like
Decision to
Without
Leave,
Filter,
La
Decision to
conspiration du
Leave,
Caire,
The
ou
Conspiration
encore
of Cairo,
Asbestas
or
et La Nuit du
Asbestas,
12. Et sans oublier
that
des
really
très belles
succeeded, and
performances
very, very
de
good performances
Elvis
of
et
Elvis,
évidemment
and
Top
obviously
Gun Maverick.
Top Gun
Et
Maverick.
nombre de ces films se sont envolés
Many of
après
these films
au
really
César,
took
au
off
Goya,
to the
aux
Césars, to the
Oscars
Goya, the
et à d'autres
Oscars,
récompenses.
and other awards.
Le Festival de Cannes
The film
est un
festival,
vrai
the Cannes Film Festival, is
extraordinaire
really
tremplin pour le
jumping
cinéma du
board
monde,
for the world cinema
de toutes les origines et de
of
tous
all
les genres.
origins and of all genres.
Après avoir vécu
After
le
having
festival
experienced
pour
the
presque
festival
25
for
ans de
25
l'intérieur,
years from
de
within,
l'autre
inside,
côté de
the
miroir,
other side of
je
the
le
mirror, so
découvre
to say,
maintenant
I
de
discover it
l'intérieur,
from this
avec une
side of the
équipe
mirror, with
passionnée,
a passionate
investie et
team,
formidable.
really committed and fantastic.
Je suis vraiment très heureuse
I'm
de pouvoir
very
leur
happy
apporter mon
to bring
énergie
them my own
et mon
energy,
regard nouveau pour les années à venir.
my new vision for years to
J'ai pris
come.
mes fonctions à un
I entered an
moment
office at
pour
a
moi
time
qui est
for me, which
particulièrement
is especially
enthousiasmant. Un moment
exciting
de réamour pour
time
le
of
cinéma.
return to love.
Les films sont de retour
the
en salle
films. The
et
films are
surtout
back in
le
theaters,
public est de
and the
retour en
audience
salle.
is back also. The public
Les
is back in the
cinéastes,
theaters.
les auteurs, les
The
artistes
movie
et les
makers, the
professionnels
artists, the
sont tous
professionals are
d'accord.
all in
Rien
agreement.
ne peut remplacer
Nothing
l'événement
can
culturel
replace
que
the cultural
représente
event
une sortie
represented
en
by a
salle d'un
release
film.
in a theater
Les
for a
studios
movie.
ont abandonné toute
Studios
forme
have
de
abandoned
date. Les films ne sortent plus
All
simultanément
they do
en
not
salle
come
et en
out
streaming.
simultaneously.
Et vous avez
in,
tous vu,
the
plusieurs
theaters and
plateformes
streaming.
ont
We have seen
annoncé
several platforms.
des
We
investissements
announced
importants
very important
dans la
investments
production
in
de
the
films
production of
destinés
films
d'abord
aimed
à une
first and
sortie en
foremost
salle.
to a release in theaters.
C'est pour moi comme
It is for
si
me
cette
as if
multiplication
this
des écrans
multiplication of the
individuels
screens, individual
a juste
screens,
renforcé le
reinforced,
désir d'une
strengthened
expérience
the
partagée
desire
dans
for
une
a
salle
shared
obscure.
experience in a
Et
dark room.
l'expérience du
And the
cinéma pur
experience of
est
pure cinema
irremplaçable.
is not replaceable.
Pour moi, le Festival de
For
Cannes
me,
peut
the
être
Cannes Film
fier
Festival can be
d'avoir
proud
toujours porté le
for having
drapeau de
always
ce cinéma-là,
being the torchbearer of
avec
this
des
cinema,
films,
with
des
films,
cinéastes
movie
et des
makers,
artistes qui
and
portent
artists
cette
who really
exigence-là.
are
Et nous
supporting this
continuerons
demand,
à les
and we will
défendre.
go on defending them.
On pourrait dire back to
One
basics.
could say
Moi, je
back to
dirais
basics.
plutôt
I would say
back
rather
to the future.
back to the future.
Retour à la salle, oui,
Back to
mais
the
aussi direction
theaters,
l'avenir du
yes, but
cinéma.
also back to the future
Comme
of
tous
the
les
cinema.
ans,
Like each and
nous
every
allons
year,
prendre le pouls
we
de
will
la création
really
et
take
du
the pulse
cinéma en
of the
train de se faire.
creation and of the
Le
movies being
Festival de
made, the
Cannes
cinema and the making.
et le marché
The
du film
film festival
sont des
and the
rendez-vous
market of the
incontournables
film are
pour
the
tous les
unavoidable
professionnels de l'industrie du
meeting
cinéma,
point of all the
pour
members of
mettre
the
en lumière
industry
le
of
nouveau
the cinema,
talent,
to highlight
pour
the new talents,
envisager le cinéma
to
de
envisage
demain et
the
pour parler de nouvelles
future
façons
of the
de faire
cinema
le film.
and to see what are the new
Que
ways
nous
of making
réserve
movies.
le cinéma dans
What
les
is in
10
store
à 20 prochaines années.
for the 10 to 20 next years to
Rendez-vous
come?
en mai sur le marche du festival pour
Well,
avoir la
let's
réponse.
meet in May on the steps of the festival
Je
to have the
voudrais
answer.
enfin remercier le
I'd like to
partenaire
thank
du
again the
festival,
partner of the festival,
le partenaire fidèle de longue
the
date
faithful
et ceux
partner
qui nous ont
for a long
rejoints
time and those who
plus
joined
récemment
us
et qui
more
nous ouvrent
recently
de
and
nouveaux
opening
horizons.
new
Leur soutien
networks. Their
est
support is
essentiel.
essential.
Nous ouvrirons le bal
We
de
will
cette
start the
76e
ball
édition
of the
au
76th
Carlton,
edition at
cette
the Carlton
véritable
Hotel,
légende
this
cannoise,
legend of the city of Cannes,
comme vous le savez tous,
as you
qui
all
vient
know,
d'être rénové.
has been
Le
refurbished,
Carlton a
rehauled.
accompagné le festival
The
depuis
Carlton
ses débuts
supported the
et a
festival since
veillé
its
sur les
beginning
nuits
and
de ses invités le plus
was the
prestigieux.
place of the nights of the most
Nous nous
prestigious guests.
réjouissons de le retrouver
We
dans toute sa
rejoice
splendeur.
to meet again the Carlton in its
Je vais maintenant
splendor.
passer la parole à Thierry.
I'll leave the floor to Thierry
Thierry,
Frémaux.
il a
Thierry
pu vivre
is
tout au long de sa
has
brillante
experienced
carrière
all through
cannoise
his
plusieurs
Cannes career,
tandems.
several
Son premier tandem avec une femme.
pairs. It's his first
Et
pair with a
vous
woman.
connaissez
And
la phrase
you
de
know the sentence of
Saint-Exupéry.
Saint-Exupéry,
Le
the French
secret d'un
writer.
couple
The
réussi,
secret
c'est de
of
regarder
a
dans la même
successful
direction.
couple is to look in the same direction.
Et moi, je suis convaincue
I
que notre
am
tandem
convinced that
va
our
très bien
pair
fonctionner
will
parce
work
que
perfectly
Thierry et
well
moi, nous
because Thierry and
partageons
I are sharing
la même vision
the same
du Festival de
vision
Cannes.
of the Cannes Film
Le
Festival.
festival fidèle
The
à ce
festival,
qu'il est,
faithful
au
to what it
cinéma
is, faithful to
et
the cinema,
aux cinéastes,
festival,
et
faithful
en
to
même
the
temps
movie makers at the same
résolument
time,
tourné vers
resolutely
l'avenir.
turned to the future.
J'ai hâte de vous accueillir au
I
festival.
am
Et
eager
maintenant,
to
cher
welcome you
Thierry,
at the festival. Now,
the
dear
floor
Thierry,
is yours.
the floor is yours. La parole est à vous, in French.
À mon tour de saluer
to
l'arrivée
welcome
d'Iris. Elle est déjà là
the
depuis plusieurs mois.
arrival
Et c'est totalement
of Iris, and
et
it's-
complètement investie
She is totally
qu'elle va aborder
invested
ce festival.
in this
De l'autre
film
côté, de
festival from
l'intérieur,
the other
elle,
side,
qui le
from the
connaissait bien, parce
inside.
qu'on a déjà beaucoup
You
travaillé
know her well
ensemble
because we
sur un
worked
certain
a
nombre de
lot
films
together, a
lorsqu'elle
certain amount of
présidait au
movies
Style Warner à
when
Paris
she was
et en
heading
Europe.
the Warner Company in Europe.
Et en effet, notre tandem
And
fonctionne
our
déjà bien. Je
tandem,
veux aussi,
our pair is
moi,
working very
saluer
well.
Pierre
I'd
Lescure
like
et
also
Gilles
to
Jacob
commend
en ce
and say
moment
hello
qui
to
nous permet de nous
Pierre
retrouver
Lescure and
tous
Gilles Jacob in
comme
this
chaque
time
année.
that
Je
enables
voudrais
us to
aussi
meet all together here.
avoir un mot pour
I'd
Carlos
like to have
Saura,
a good word for Carlos
qui est mort
Saura,
récemment et qui est un
who
cinéaste qui est
died
venu
recently, who
beaucoup
came
à Cannes avec ses
several
films
times to Cannes with his
et dédié cette
movies
sélection à la
and
mémoire de Tom Ledy.
dedicated
Tom
to
Ledy, qui est
Tom
parti
Lody,
également tout à
this
fait
edition,
récemment. C'était
who
le
left us recently.
fondateur, le
He was
cofondateur
the
du festival de
founding father
Telluride,
of the
du Pacific Film Archive. Il avait
Telluride,
été
the
juré
Festival Film
au Festival de
Festival.
Cannes. C'est un homme
He
qui a
was a member of the
contribué
jury
à
of the Cannes
importer
Festival.
de manière
He delivered,
tout
he
à fait
brought
forte le cinéma d'auteur étranger
author
aux États-Unis,
cinema,
à San Francisco,
cinema
à
of movie
Telluride et
makers
partout.
at
Et je
Telluride
voudrais
and
avoir
everywhere,
cette pensée-là
and I'd like to have
pour lui.
a thought for
Remercier
his
aussi
in his
UGC
memory.
d'abord qui nous
Remember
accueille,
also,
même s'il y a moins
thank
de lumière qu'avant.
UGC.
Je voyais vos visages.
Usually,
Là, on a l'impression qu'on est à l'Olympia,
I used to
uniquement
see your
éclairé sur
faces,
scène
but
en ne devinant pas qui nous
today
regarde, sauf
I
Carlos
don't
Gomez, parce qu'il est
see
éclairé par son
just
écran.
Carlos Gomez, but I don't see the other
l'ensemble des
persons who are
comités de
here
sélection
I'd like to thank the selection commission and the member of the selection committee who all worked with a lot of commitment, engagement for several months. Thank obviously Christian Jaune, the manager of the film department, and Christine, who are artistic advisor in the selection. We have seen over 2,000 films. You have all the details, all the figures. They are extravagant figures, but it's also a testimony of what the world cinema is full of vitality, and everywhere movies are being made. Anyone making a movie of over 1 hour, a feature film starts at 1 hour, 60 minutes, and wishes to submit it to the selection, the film will be seen. And we have seen those 2,000 movies, not totally, because traditionally we will add some movies to the selection, but we have seen those 2,000 films. It's great democracy of Cannes, making that the dream is still there. And to talk about one Palme d'Or, once when I came for the first time, I saw a movie from Japan. It was a Thai film in VHS format, and the young movie maker who immediately in the jury presided by Fontaine, it was Api Chapong Avisatakul, who came several times until he got this palm awarded by Tim Burton. We see it as something very important among the selection that I will disclose in a few moments. There are well-known movie makers, but there are also, it's also important also to welcome always newcomers, discoveries, making that the global cinema is reproducing itself and developing, extending itself each and every year. I would like to thank all those who presented films, the vendors, the distributors, the directors. Many people were happy this night when we disclosed a positive decision for the films, and we made many people sad when they were not chosen, and would like to say a kind word for those who were noble enough in their reaction, because they were very disappointed for not having been selected, but they thanked us for taking time to look at their films. So as of May 16, we'll present a renewed selection with here and there major makers. It's the line, the permanent line of the Cannes Film Festival to give a snapshot of the global creation for some months that enabled us to discover it. It's not the best films of the year, all of the production of the films of the year. Winter, spring, and autumn for the global films, and for the major festivals. Those are the times, the highlights. But this selection will give an idea of what is the cinema in its aesthetic and its makers and its industry. Iris said a word about that, and we had the occasion to communicate on the presence of Martin Scorsese's film produced by Paramount and mainly by Apple. Apple decided to release this film in theaters. We expected that, but in France too, this film is part of the selection, official selection, a selection that is widened geographically. Nobody could foresee at the beginning of the selection what would be the color, the hue, the trends. It's the films that are making the selection, and I used to say that it's not, we're not selecting the films, it's the films that are being selected by us. One morning, somewhere in the world, an author, a producer is waking up, having an idea, and to having it coming to life, that it will be submitted to the film theaters and to the festival also. And it's each and every year, this is this impression that we have that suddenly the whole world is pouring into the French office in Paris so as for us to discover this selection. In fact, the selection is widened from a geographic point of view, with two historic countries very present, United States and Italy. major countries of cinema, but with countries which were not, how should I say, were not used to come. And for some of them, like Mongolia, are coming for the first time in an official selection. We also notice, and we said it previously, a strong presence in selection, but also in the films that we have seen of the African continent, North Africa, Sub-Saharan, East Africa, and within this new generation of African movie makers, a lot of female movie makers. I'd like to conclude by saying that after a couple of years of a certain generosity assumed willfully by the Cannes Film Festival, after those years of pandemic, that we can hope for this one, that it's behind us, the pandemic, I mean. We were, say, generous. It has been remarked, noticed. Suddenly, the official selection had more movies than usually. That was true. And it was on a voluntary basis. We wanted to do it. We wanted to give a chance to the films that couldn't have a chance in the theaters in 2021, and give a chance to the cinema of the professionals, the movie makers. The film festival committed itself to have a wider selection. We came back this year to a lower amount of movies, the one that you know, and I will present them to you right now. Starting by A Certain Regard, presenting 17 movies, over 18, 20 movies. We presented 21, 22 movies previously, by saying that the Argentinian Rodrigo Moreno will be present, and his film is called Delinquentes, Los Delinquentes. Molly Manning Walker, movie maker from the UK. Maybe you don't know her name because it's her first feature length. It's How to Have Sex. That's the name of the movie. Mohamed Kordofani, first movie, first feature. And this name will be known because it's a first movie and coming from a rare country, Sudan. Goodbye, Julia is the title of the film. João Salavisa, René Nader, Messora are two movie makers from Brazil, from Amazonia. The film called Kraura. You know the names because they came already at Certain Regard, and they were awarded an award. It's lucky to have their film. It's lucky to have a film talking about those Brazilian populations of Amazon, so wrongly treated in the recent history of Brazil. Monia Chokri is from Quebec. It's a comedy by Ms. Chokri. It's called Simple Like Sylvain. Asma El Moudir from Morocco. Kadib Abiad, The Mother of All Lies. It's a fiction movie. Asma is from Morocco. It's a very amazing form of cinema, suggested by Asma El Moudir. And it's good for Morocco to be present this year at the film festival with all the other movie makers. Los Colonos is a first Chilean movie from Felipe Galvez, two Latinos within this Un Certain Regard selection, Los Colonos by Felipe Galvez. I was talking about Africa, Sudan. There's also the Democratic Republic of Congo. Baloji Chiani, his film is called Ogure, co-produced with Belgium. So, until 2023, there are historic links between Congo and Belgium, sometimes very painful memories between Africa and Europe. It's the first movie from Baloji Chiani. Anthony Chen from Singapore. Anthony Chen from Singapore won the Golden Camera Award. He comes from Singapore. His film is called The Breaking Ice. And he started this selection because it's the film we've seen among the first one at the very beginning of November, with Martin Scorsese's movie that I've seen very early. a French film, Stéphanie did Justo, for her second movie named Rosalie. She had the first movie about a dancing woman like Loie Fuller. But it was not Loie Fuller, it was based on Loie Fuller. With Nadia Tereskevich, Benjamin Biolay, and Benoît Magimel. I quoted his name a lot of time. Benoît Magimel. And this movie is called Rosalie. Warwick Thornton from Australia. From Australia, he's an aborigine. I already came to Un Certain Regard for his first movie. This movie is called The New Boy, with Kate Blanchett, who's the producer of the movie. The movie coming from Mongolia, the first film from Mongolia, it's the first feature from Zoliargal Porevdash, called If Only I Could Hibernate. It's a female movie maker that we're very glad to welcome. Kim Chang-hoon from Korea, Hopeless. It's a first feature. The Golden Camera will announce who will be the chairperson, female chairperson of the Golden Camera jury. Will have a lot to do. It's a section, it's a competition that is gathering all the sections, the official, the week of the critics, and the fortnight of the movie makers. It will award the best first movie presented to the Cannes Film Festival this year. And Kim Chang-hoon's movie, Hopeless, a film from Iran. We've seen again, not for political reasons, but for, how should I say this? Countries we haven't seen films for years, China, Asia generally speaking, Iran especially. This film is co-signed by Ali Asghari and Ali Reza Khatami, and the film is called Terrestrial Versus, and we've seen a lot of Iranian films this year. A second French entry to the Un Certain Regard, the first movie, first feature of Delphine Delegate with Virginie Fira, Mathieu Demy. The film is called Rien à perdre, Nothing to Lose. And another Moroccan movie from Kamal Lazarak, another first feature film called Les Meutes, the Pax, Les Meutes. The one who is coming on the Wednesday, May 17th, it's called The Animal Reign by Thomas Caillet, the director of Les Combattants. This movie will be with Romain Duris, one of the Kircher's sons. Sorry for the... Not Paul, the other one. Paul, sorry, yes, it's Paul. In the film of Christophe Honoré with Adèle Exarchopoulos, the Animal Reign of Thomas Caillet that will open this Un Certain Regard selection. Special showings, screenings. We refocused on the young cinema. Of research, special screenings. We welcome movie makers coming to give us some news about themselves. Now it's in between movies, work for a platform, in between series. Movie makers are taking back their camera and go and film personal things like Kleber Mendoza Filho. His film called Retratos Fantasmas. Retratos Fantasmas by Kleber Mendoza Filho. Back to Recife, where he went back to live. He came several times for the competitions. It's an essay about his city through the theaters, movie theaters of his city, Recife. Other movie makers, Wim Wenders, a portrait of Anselm Kiefer, the sculptor, Das Rauschen der Zeit. Not bad, Das Rauschen der Zeit. Anselm. It's a film in 3D with the major technical master and aesthetical master, Wim Wenders. Let's remember Pina co-celebrated to celebrate the work of a sculptor. Other one giving some news, Steve McQueen, the British movie maker, is giving some news about the city where he's living, the city which is his city for quite a long time, Amsterdam. It's called Occupied City. It's a story of Amsterdam. A story of Amsterdam, especially during the occupation. Several hours, very radical. You won't fall asleep. It's really fantastic that Steve McQueen made this movie, but especially had suggested it to us. He had won the Golden Camera with Hunger, remember, where he stepped down the scene, the stage, and he said, next time for competition, but it's not. I want to tell you, Steve McQueen, I want to see you next time in competition. And Wang Bing, document filmmaker, Chinese document filmmaker, will be present twice in the official selection with this film called Man in Black, with special scenes. Man in Black is the story of a witness of the Cultural Revolution and of its wrongdoings by a man who is coming to testify, face camera, bare, naked. Man in Black from Wang Bing. Cannes Première. We're talking about Un Certain Regard. It's also because we wanted, with Christian Jeune, make it so that, again, like for the special seances, special screenings, with more important movies that can be released in theaters to have a wider audience. And we have the feelings that when a movie maker recognized one, already celebrated, was in a certain regard, there was a certain feeling of not to be in competition. It's been 2 years that Cannes Première is existing. Asbestas, The Night of the 12, the film of Emmanuel Mouret, have proved that there is another way also to program a certain cinema at the Cannes Film Festival. Not aside, not alongside, but another way of getting into competition. I will not, all the writers are not, I'm talking for France, and there's also international listeners, they're not to write all novels to be awarded the Prix Goncourt, which is the most important book prize in France. Well, with the movie makers, there are also very good movies, Asbestas, The Night of the 12, the film of Emmanuel Mouret, were fantastic movies, and you will see and discover 4 fantastic movies that we're glad to present at Cannes Première in a very short selection. Le Temps d'aimer, Time to Love, from Qu'a-t-elle qui est vrai, with Anaïs de Moustier and Laurent Lacoste. Cerrar los ojos, from Victor Erice. It's a return, of course. Victor Erice, who is a very rare movie maker. He came several times in competition to Cannes. He was a member of the jury, chaired by Tim Burton, if I'm not erring. And it's a movie on the cinema, how the cinema is capturing the past, is conserving it, restituting it. Is one of the criteria now, the tools of the perpetuation of the memory of the people. Martin Provost, Bonnard, Pierre et Marthe. It's about the painter Pierre Bonnard, but the history of Pierre Bonnard and his wife Marthe, about their couple, signed Martin Provost. It's the first time he's in an official selection in Cannes, and we're very glad for him, very glad to welcome him. Mackay and Cécile de France are the 2 main actors of this movie. Kubi is a Japanese movie, Kubi, a samurai movie, a historic movie, a comedy of samurai. And it's signed Takeshi Kitano. Takeshi Kitano, that we will welcome with pleasure. It's signed
que de Takeshi Kitano.
Bit Takeshi.
Le joli petit livre paru chez Capricci à son sujet.
There's a beautiful little book, Bit Takeshi, published here in France. It's a very ambitious movie, and we're glad to welcome him here. You will be glad, I hope, to welcome him also. Takeshi Kitano. Midnight screenings. Algerian movie. Filmed in Algeria, iconoclastic vision. It's a comedy signed Elias Belkedar, with Reda Katab and Benoît Magimel acting, and the name of the movie is Omar la Fraise, Omar the Strawberry. Now, Anurag Kashyap, Indian movie maker from India. This is a detective movie. It's a midnight screening named Kennedy. Well, for those that I meet who, just for the fun, for the hell of it, like all professionals come to do some overtime in discovering the midnight movie, we put them earlier. I mean, we had movies screened at 1 a.m. The last screenings are not with so many people as when we were very young people, when we were very young. So we do less screenings to bring them not at midnight, but at 11 p.m. And the third one is Juste Philippeau's movie, Juste Philippe, who made La Nuée. This one is called Acid with Guillaume Canet, and it's not a obituary, but I have the pleasure also to commend the father of Juste Philippe, Claude Philippe, who was a fantastic distributor of French movie makers, who died a few weeks ago. Killers of the Flower Moon. Those are the movies outside of the competition, while telling you that Killers of the Flower Moon by Martin Scorsese, we wish to have this movie in competition. We would have wished. The request was made. The essential thing is that we had an answer before the beginning of the festival so that the jury, by Mr. Osloon, would know what are the movies they will have to see. We would like to see this movie in competition because of what is the film itself and who is Martin Scorsese, who was not at the Cannes Film Festival for years. He was already awarded a Palme d'Or in 1976 with Taxi Driver. We would have loved him to be competing, but we're glad that Martin Scorsese took time for once, because they like to take the time in post-production, he and his film editor, so that the film was fitting into the slot of Cannes Festival, that he and Apple and Paramount decided to come in May, expose this movie that will be released, as you know, on 17, 18 or 19 October. This movie, like some of his colleagues with age, Martin Scorsese is revisiting the history of his country. Film adapted from a novel with, as you know, Leonardo DiCaprio and Bob De Niro, as well as Ellie Blackstone, a fantastic actress, Indian, native Indian, Native American, and the trio with a lot of good actors. Martin Scorsese, Sam Levinson, the son of Barry Levinson. The beginning of a movie, because it can become a series. It's a film called The Idol, Sam Levinson, with Lily Rose Depp, that we welcomed in Stéphanie's De Justo's movie, The Dancer, and with Abel Tesfaye. Maybe you know his name, maybe not, but The Weeknd, that's the group, the musical group, and he is a great movie maker. He comes to see the movies in Cannes incognito. Now he's again on the big screen outside of the competition in the movie of Sam Levinson. Kim Ji-won. Kim Ji-won from Korea. And the name of his movie is Cobweb. Kim Ji-won made his American Night, a film about a film, paying homage to Shin Sang-kok. Shin Sang-kok was one of the major movie makers already dead in Korea. When we saw the young generation of the Korean movie makers in the years 2000, we discovered, for those who didn't know, but now it is known that Korea is a major cinema country, and Shin Sang-kok was one of the spearhead of this, the former generation, with this specialty that he spent part of his life in North Korea. He had been abducted. Pierre Rissian made me know him. I can talk about Shin Sang-kok and about the regretted Pierre Rissian. Indiana Jones and the Destiny, it's the Indiana Jones franchise with Harrison Ford, with Mads Mikkelsen, a film, and Phoebe on the bridge, a fantastic actress, giving a real push forward for this comedy by James Mangold, Indiana Jones, and in French the title is Le Cadran de la Destinée, with a homage paid to Harrison Ford, and we've seen him in the movie of Agnès Varda, because he was in the 1001 Nights with Jacques Demy. We retrieved the young Harrison Ford in a film by Jacques Demy. So far for the outside of the competition, and to conclude the films of the official competition, there will be some addition. It has been added. We took away some films, we put back some films, we added some films. It's very bubbly at the office, our offices, and during the night, because some people of the American continent are awake and those in Asia are already up. It's a competition that will mix young movie makers coming in a very seldom way for the first time in competition, with veterans that we know the name, that we know the work and the works. It's obviously a way to repeat that in terms of art there is no end date, neither for the movie makers nor for the works. And we'll have the pleasure to present on the widescreen of the amphitheater Lumière. This competition seemed to us, I mean, giving a flavor of what is cinema. Everywhere around the world, people are waking up in the morning, have an idea about the movie. All the films are cinema works. They are singular objects. The language of cinema, the art of cinema is everywhere. All the forms, all the shapes, making it possible for young movie makers to arise. And also at the same time with series, like the name tells it, those are prototypes, those are suggestions here. I put inverted commas because in terms of suggestions of cinema, I think that on all of the official selection and of this competition, we will be well served. Club Zero by Jessica Hausner, Austrian movie maker, awarded a prize in a competition. It's a film alluding to, evoking the youth of Austria, which is the youth of the world. It's very impressive. The story is a youth decided to fight the way the planet is not in a good shape, decided not to eat anymore. Maybe it's not the best way, but maybe it's a way of asking questions. Jonathan Glazer, first appearance in official selection. We're glad to welcome him. British in competition for his movie, The Zone of Interest. The Zone of Interest, inspired from a novel by Martin Amis, the major British writer, English writer. Sandra Hüller, the heroine of Tony Erdmann, that we'll retrieve also and find again in another movie. Aki Kaurismäki from Finland, Fallen Leaves. Aki Kaurismäki, we're very glad to welcoming him again in this competition. He was the Grand Prix, and you remember, once he was awarded the Grand Prix, he talked to David Lynch, saying, "Who are you?" and made David Lynch laugh his head off. Kauter Benania. Kauter Benhania from Tunisia, against the sexual violences and against women in Tunisia. This movie is called Les Filles d'Olfa, the Girls of Olfa, Kauter Benhania from Tunisia. Humanistic and feministic engagement. Wes Anderson, Asteroid City, US. It's a film by Wes Anderson, full stop. With a casting which is very prestigious. 100, since faithful to his way of making movies, of bits and pieces, miniatures, extraordinary miniatures. Well, I'm talking about it. It's a film, Wes Anderson movie. First French entry in this competition, Justine Trier's movie, Justine Trier. Second appearance at Cannes, Anatomie d'une chute, Anatomy of a Fall, Anatomie d'une chute, with Sandra Hüller as a actress, main actress, especially, and with Samuel Tace, who's also in this movie, and many other actors. I always am afraid to forget some. I was talking about Koreeda Hirokazu. Koreeda Hirokazu. His film won the best masculine interpretation last year, but this year's movie is called Monster. After he's coming back to his country, Japan, to make this movie about the question raised by the interpretation one might have about an incident that is happening in a school between a teacher and a pupil, according to your point of view. It's not Rashomon, but there's something, a kind link with the film of Kurosawa. Il Sol dell'Avvenire, the sun of the future. It's not because they're a conferred movie maker that you cannot look to the future and to the sun. It's what Nanni Moretti is doing with this movie, Il Sol dell'Avvenire, former Palme d'Or. Well, didn't prevent him from being again in competition. Another Italian will be present in competition. It's Alice Rohrwacher with her movie La Chimera, The Marvels, Lazaro, the two previous movies. Her third appearance in this competition, Alice Rohrwacher, La Chimera. Very formal, lot of questions about what is cinema, how to hold a camera, how to narrate a story. Nuri Bilge Ceylan from Turkey. Kuru Otlar Ustune. The dry herbs in English. Nuri Bilge Ceylan from Turkey. The northeast of Turkey. People wondering about the meaning of life, coming back in competition after having won the Golden Palm for Winter Sleep. Catherine Breillat, France, Catherine Breillat, with her film L'été dernier, last summer. For health issues, she was far from the cinema for some time, and she's coming back with this movie L'été dernier, last summer, by Catherine Breillat. La Passion de Dodin Bouffant is a French film made by Tran Anh Hong. I didn't check. We're wondering if Tran Anh Hong, if it's a first or not appearance in competition. He had the vertical of summer shown at a certain regard in the movie La Passion de Dodin Bouffant. It's a duet of chefs, a male and female, by Juliette Binoche and Benoît Magimel. Third movie in selection at the Cannes Film Festival, The Passion of Dodin Bouffant. It's a film about the kitchen, the cooking, how to feed oneself, how to feed people, and how to see on the way. At the 19th century, we learned to command and to be careful and aware of what we were eating, because we were eating things in those days that we shouldn't have eaten, so we are said today. So, third Italian entry, it's Marco Bellocchio's movie. He also, in a kind of extraordinary vitality, artistic vitality, Esterno Notte last year, his long series about the abduction, the kidnapping of Aldo Moro. We said that Marx can wait about his friend, his brother. Bellocchio gave some news about him because it was the traitor. Now it's Rapito, a fiction movie, Il Rapito, a kidnapped, a true story in the 19th century of a child that is being demanded by the Jewish community and abducted by the Catholic Church. I think he meant to say the 20th century, Rapito. And an American entry now, Todd Haynes, May, December by Todd Haynes. We have also a movie from Algerian, from Brazil, Karim Aynouz's movie called Firebrand. We discovered it 20 years ago with Madame Sata, who came to a certain regard. Now is his Anglo-Saxon movie with Alicia Vikander and Jude Law, a chivalry movie, historic movie, Firebrand, by Karim Aynouz. Ken Loach, The Old Oak. We've seen this movie at the very last second for this selection. It was beyond the shadow of a doubt that what might be his last movie, because the last movie of his was supposed to be his last one, but he already made a new one. When I called him yesterday, Ken Loach, to invite him to the competition, he told me, as usual, "Are you sure?" And on the theme, I came a lot of time to the competition. He's also making a movie anchored in a special place in the world, in Wales. I mean, if you can understand this kind of English, fantastic English from those people in the heart of the Wales, the whole world is there, north, south, immigration, the western provinces hit by unemployment, forgotten by the neo-capitalistic society. When people are coming from Syria and elsewhere, you can imagine that Ken Loach, with Paul Laverty, his scriptwriter, produced by Karen O'Brien, Ken Loach really looked into all those topics. And Ramata to Light Sea, it's the first movie from Senegal, at the border of experimentation, but here it's something which is very important. It's called Banel and Adama, and the film we have seen, Banel et Adama, we hid it at a certain regard. It's only yesterday that Christian Jeune called her to tell her that the film is in official competition. Ramata Toulaye, Ramata Toulaye Si, Ramata Toulaye Si, S.Y. Young Senegalese movie maker, female movie maker, first feature film. And to conclude, the film is called Perfect Days, Perfect Days. It's a fallen man who's taking life on the right good side with Koji Yakusho as an actor. This fallen man is cleaning the public lavatories of Tokyo, going from public lavatories to public lavatories, listening in the car, taking him from place to place, rock and roll. And you will recognize the taste of the movie maker, and the movie maker's name is Wim Wenders, coming back in competition with 2 movies. At my age, he said yesterday, I don't know if we'll have the energy to defend those 2 movies. Perfect Days, filmed in Japan, and the film in 3D, filmed about Anselm Kiefer. And it's the entry, German entry, Japanese, German, in competition. A competition that will be opened. The festival will be opened by the film of Mai Wen, French. Outside of the competition, Jeanne du Barry, starting the 16th of May, after the second day of Bruce Springsteen in Paris. So far, for this selection, I want to say again that it will be, there will be some additions in days to come, and next week, the week of the critics will announce their own selection, the quinzaine des réalisateurs, the fortnight of the movie makers. Yeah, I forgot something. Yeah, sorry. Thank you, Fred Cassoli. You all know Fred Cassoli. And it's, I said it, there's a second movie of Wang Bing. Its film is called Youth, Jeunesse. Wang Bing is a documentary filmmaker, Chinese, who's not living in China anymore, but making documentary films about his country. It's an immersive movie about the Chinese weaving workshops, giving a description, an amazing description about the Chinese youth. We didn't forget him. Since we announced him, I add, it's a documentary film. It's the return of the documentary in competition in Cannes. Nothing to do with the fact it's the year of the documentary at the CNC, the National Film Organization in Paris. There's no animation movies in what I have disclosed. There might be, probably. Hello. And we will work on those additions to the selection in the days to come. I wanted to commend also the work of Mr. Zlotowski, the interpretation, like each and every year, who is here with us. Thank you all. With Iris, the pleasure we have to welcome you. We will have to welcome you to spend all this time together. The pleasure we'll have in the city of Cannes for it to be for 2 weeks at the heart, at the core of the world, putting the cinema that we all love at the center of the world. Thanks to all of you. And bravo, Thierry.